Let's try that. Hey, there we go. I think that works. I think that works. Let's see. Um, hey, NY Grasshopper, how are you? It's not live on Facebook, huh? You know, Facebook, it's Facebook's fault. Thank you for telling me that. I'm waiting for it to load so I can tell. Yeah, you know, Facebook and the restream thing have not been, yeah, really pissing me off because it's free. I can't really complain. It's working on Twitter, on, what do I have here? On Twitch. It's working on uh, YouTube. You're here. For some reason, Facebook, right? I mean, rationally speaking, I got to blame Facebook on that, right? So thank you, NY Grasshopper. I forget who that is. Who is that? NY Grasshopper, if you can't disclose um, your true identity, that's okay. But thank you so much. Yeah, do you know Restream? Maybe you can help me out if you know anything about this. Because Restream, I love it. It works great. And like I said, let me just get. I'm just going to do a separate emergency um, uh, stream on Facebook, so we can do that directly. Uh, all right, I'm almost there. Uh, so hello, YouTube people, Twitter people. Sometimes there's one or two people on Twitter and Twitch. Always surprises me. Lacey, are you there? Lacey's always on Twitch. So, all right, we're good to go. We're going to go live on Stupid Book. Man, Stupid Book is counting down. Let's go back to NY Grasshopper. Oh, Celine, how are you? Thanks for being there. Um, and you are in the USA or you're in Turkey or where? Okay. Looks like Facebook's on. Fantastic. There we go. It's working. 27 seconds in. So here we are. Um, it needs me to do some housekeeping here. How are you, Celine? How was your day? What did you have for Meatless Monday? Uh, it's having me do some housekeeping here, but technical issues, folks. What the? Never fun. But and no matter how prepared I am, you know what happens is uh, until you hit until you go live, you don't know that Facebook is fucking with you. All right. Now it's got problems with my feet per second. Anyway, what I'll do is I'll depend on you all today to help me out. If you can't hear me, if it's too low or If it's any problems with the feed, then let me know. What I'm disappointed is once again it's Facebook problems, so that I can't do screen shares, which sucks because I have news items I want to show. Anyway, I'm having today's first plant-based thing is just some seltzer water. Mm. I'm very dehydrated, and I love these. What are they called? LaCroix. LaCroix. Yeah, seltzer water. Just seltzer water with fruit essence in it. This one's Cherish Limon, cherry lime, cherry lemon. Mm. Just water with bubbles. Anyway, Celine says haven't left yet. Not until sometime in November. Okay. Haven't left Turkey, so you're in Turkey still. Okay, and you had Pide. Is that how you say that? Pide. I don't know how to say that word. Pide. Wow, that sounds interesting. What is that? Is that a Turkish thing? Um, I'm gonna Google that. It sounds interesting. Yeah. Oh, Turkish flatbread. Okay, love it. And you could have it anyway, right? It has some with meat, onions. Looks like it comes with greens, and so it's like a Turkish pizza. I see feta cheese, parsley, mozzarella, sprinkled with nigella seeds. Sometimes it has lamb. Okay, that's great. But it obviously many different. Love it. Thank you. So I learned something new today already. Oh, and you're saying think of it as Turkish pizza. Yeah, I love Google. Right, you can just and I love learning something new every day. So you have helped me fulfill that. Um, mm, 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 mm. So, Kevin, how are you, my friend? Kevin, do I sound okay on Facebook? Is the video working okay? I think it's getting trails because the FPS rate is low. But yeah, let me know if you can hear me. So, how's everyone doing today? Benny, Benny, was your ears burning, man? Was your ears burning? Because we were just talking about you. Because I was uh, I was talking to my man Jody McAllister, monitor guy for a bunch of people, but Pat Metheny Group for many years, sound guy all around New York City. But he did the sound at that um, Abstract Logics Festival down here in Eastern North Carolina. Where was it? Raleigh or something? And we saw you there. I've seen you since then, but hadn't seen you in a few years. So we were just talking about you just 2 days ago and saying, "Yep, Benny was there, Jan was there. They came down from New York. Everyone was there. John McLaughlin came out. Zakir Hussein came out. And we were talking about how the whole room kind of elevated, right, when they walked out, especially when John walked out. That was like, but good to see you, Benny. What's new? What's happening? How is your? Did you have a meatless day today? I hope. We're just asking for one day a week, folks, and that's the thing. And I sometimes forget to clarify that. Just asking for one day a week. Can you give one day a week for the animals? Can you give one day a week for the environment? One day a week for sustainability, for local support, local farmers, local food, if you can get access to that. But in most places in the USA, most, not all, most places you can get power supply. Don't want to kick that. Most places in the US you can get some form of local food or food from your state at least, even if it's, an hour or two away. It's better than coming from across the fruited plains. So you have that, but that's all we're doing. We're trying to say, let's inspire people to just once a week take it a little easy on their bodies. So hopefully I'm providing a little inspiration for that. All right. Well, once again, it's a challenge this week because I can't screen share. But that's okay. I'm gonna still just give some links and stuff like that. Mm, 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 mm. We'll got to be about the business. Do, 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 do. Man, I tell you, Facebook. I'm really. Let's talk about that for a minute. Is anyone else over Facebook? I've been over it for a while, but I stay here because it's a way to. Yeah, when you do music and you do public things like I do, and you do things that are of an artistic nature, it's a place to um connect with a lot of people. Uh, no sound, Benny. Oh shit, is my sound off? Hey, hey, hey! Oh, I see the microphone. Um, no sound for you, Benny says. No sound for you. No soup for you. Hmm. So I don't know what's up there, but Facebook, man, it's stressed me out this week. I really I had a couple existential crises with social media recently. I just can't anymore, and yet I do. I do it for you. I hmm. Okay. Oh, audio is working on YouTube, but not on stupid Facebook. All right. Hang on. Let me put a comment in there. Um, okay. Let me uh. Okay. Celine, you can hear. Okay, great. So, hey, Cheryl, how are you, Celine? So, YouTube's working. So, once again, right? You fucking Facebook is messed up because you can hear me. Um, let me put. You know what? I'm gonna put the YouTube link. Sorry, YouTube people. I'm. People on Facebook are saying they can't hear. They can't hear me. Robin Renee, how are you? Okay, good. Robin, you hear me on YouTube. So yeah, sorry about that. Why am I apologizing for Facebook? Right. Um, let's see. Give me a second here. Facebook in the little Facebook studio part. Um, God, what a piece of crap this site can be. Let's see. Video clipping stream setup. I don't understand. Um, it's a pretty good dashboard actually that Facebook has. It just does not give you many options. Ah, there we go. Okay, there we go. I see what the problem is. Okay. God, don't tell me I might have to crash this and start again. Okay. Live stream. Let's see if I can make this work. Um. Hey, 1 2 1 2. Yeah, interesting. Um, I don't know what to tell you, folks. I'm seeing metering. It's working on YouTube. Very strange. Okay, Benny's on YouTube. Okay, Derek's on YouTube. Yeah, I, Facebook. I blame you. Facebook keeps giving me this warning that I have low frames per second, but it's also not letting me zoom in live stream. Hey, check. I've got metering. I wish I could show you all the screen. Stereo, left and right. Um, how about now? It's I'm doing it in a redundant way now, so now there might be some reverb. All right. Well, anyone on Facebook can let me know if you can hear me now. But um, anyway, so as I was saying, yeah, social media kind of depressing this week. And I'm trying to this. I do this on Mondays. It's a place of positivity to kind of talk about just going a little more meatless, and a little more flesh free. Um, okay, Robin, you can. Yeah, okay. Like I said, it's a compromise because it's going to be kind of psychedelic. Let me see if I turn that down because that gives the reverb. Hey, 1 2 1, 1 2 1. Yeah. All right. Who knows? Hey, so what did people have for lunch? I always like to see because I get some ideas sometimes. Starting right out, I've never heard of that Turkish pea day, although I probably had it in Turkey. 'Cause I remember some flatbreads. So how's everyone doing? What'd you have for lunch? What are your what are your hopes and and affirmations and prayers for the fall? I wanted to talk about that. Like, anyone have some cool things planned? Because it's a time when already the available produce is just starting to change a little bit. The tomatoes are at the tail end. Very first apples I saw. Um, uh, you know, Last kind of peaches and stone fruit and stuff are starting to happen, and I like it. I like around here we're way up in the mountains. The On Wednesday on the solstice, it was weird. It was cool, but on Wednesday, bam, it got cold. Like, took the dog out early Wednesday. It was like, okay, where's that hoodie? So that was pretty interesting. And then it stayed pretty cool, and it's nice. I love fall weather, but it's also a time of great food. I start getting ready to make some soups, some vegan soups, um, and squash, those kind of dishes. Some wild rice with some squash soup and some coconut soups and some, just some hearty stuff. Celine says peaches and melons. Yeah, it tasted good for the first time in years this summer. Okay, yeah. I mean, that's tricky. It depends right what part of the world you are. Those are always really good where we are. We live. I mean, Georgia claims they have the best peaches. They are incredible, and North Carolina has great peaches. Peaches grow right here, 10 miles away, and peaches were great. They're usually great, but I'm not sure where yours are coming from. But yeah, that's good that you had good ones this summer. Derek Schulten for lunch. Meatless sausage links. Okay, that's great. As usual, I have some pictures. What I had today was pretty simple. Just some salad and some sauerkraut. Once again, and I'm working on doing an interview with this company. Where's the little business card? I have this company that as soon as I schedule it with the woman who is the the brains behind. Um, they're called serotonin ferments. I can't find the card, but it's a company that does sauerkraut, kimchi, pickles, hot peppers, hot pepper sauce, vinegar based, and local company, local produce. I love it. Supporting people who live right here, this county or the next, and with it checks off so many boxes that we look for in food. Um, Fermented food, gluten free, live slash raw, alkalizing. Uh, um, it's vegan, it's vegetarian, it's kosher, it's paleo, it's what's the other diet there? Paleo, and there's the other one. Uh, I forgot. But anyway, sauerkraut and pickles and pickle food is really awesome because it uh, it again checks off all those boxes, and that's one of my things. I love foods that check off all the boxes, right? I mean, you can't go wrong. Almonds, you know, most fruits and vegetables. I mean, some people are allergic to some weird thing here and there. People are allergic to, of course, peanuts and maybe onions and some ground nuts and things, but very rare. But it's always cool when foods check off all the boxes, and the um, the pickle food thing is really strong for that. So Benny, okay, thank you. Sound is on now. Thank you both. Sabina, how are you, my friend? I was thinking about you, Sabina, because I learned a German word, and I learned a German word, and I forgot it. Let me see. What was that word? Mm-mm-mm. But I was thinking about you because of your election, of course, and I'd love. I said I got to get her thoughts. Um, it was one of the people running had that slogan that they were the Kanzlerin, right? Is that the chancellor? Kanzlerin. So I know I'm saying it wrong, but you know, uh, uh, good thoughts for the German people. I love going to Germany. You all know that, and I consider it in the top two or three places to be as a vegetarian. I'm sorry, people think that's crazy. They think Germans just eat sausages, and they do eat a lot of sausages. They're come on, you have all kinds of wursts and sausages, but the German people eat a lot of vegetables, a lot of greens and potatoes and roasted root vegetables, and all these soups and things with peas and tomatoes and a lot of mushrooms, a lot of hearty kind of stews and things. So I have a wonderful food time in Germany always, and there's a strong German vegan situation. We had a guest on here several months ago, Stacy Tunis, who works for that company Vegans, which is the company in Germany. So I love it. So I love Germany, love the German people, and so I'm thinking about y'all as I think about what's the who's going to win this election and all that stuff. So tell us, Sabina, what if things seem like they're going in a good direction. But yeah, German people wouldn't believe how much vegan food comes from Germany. I know that sounds like a crazy concept. German vegan food, yes, it's not crazy. And I started going there. I started going to Germany. I'm going to have a big anniversary next year. Started going to Germany in 2002. And I just put the link there. I started going to Germany in 2002, and bang, right off the bat, it was great food experience. Which really is that spoils your trip, right? If the food is fucked up, then the trip is fucked up. But right away, and there were several of us that went that were vegetarians, so they had that on the rider and all that. But you didn't even need it because I remember in this little town, Bad Doberan, where the Zappanale festival is, there's little markets, there's a little health food store. But even your regular market, and this is the point about many parts of the world, People still eat the way their grandparents ate in a lot of the world. I saw that in Japan. I saw that in Chile and Argentina. I see that in England, all around rural England. I see that in Paraguay, in Israel, in you know, like I'm saying, Germany, all of those European countries, Netherlands. Wow, easy to. And what I mean is to just go into any shop in the countryside, um, in Hungary, in Turkey, in uh, I haven't been too many places in Russia, but been to three cities, but the one smaller city, Perm, it's a big city, but I mean compared to the others. Again, you go into a shop, and here's what I mean: you will find very inexpensive fresh vegetables and produce, even in some what we would call a convenience store. Some grapes, some tomatoes on the vine, some apples, pears, some other fruit that maybe you never saw, uh, and always good bread. Czech Republic, wow, that's a good one. Czech Republic economy was kind of tough the past 20 years. I've been there many times in this 20 years going to Europe, and you could always find this great bread, crusty, dark, whole grain bread. And that's all those countries: Spain, Portugal, Italy. And what I love is you can very easily. I'm a big hotel kitchen guy. I like to, even when everyone's going out to the restaurant, uh, I go sometimes. I'm not, you know, antisocial in that way. But if you're on a budget, which I always am, and you're saving your per diem. Those of you who don't know, the per diem means per day, and it's the money that you get from the tour to pay for whatever you want, but usually meals. But I love just saving that and going into these little shops because I'll get some kind of vegan dip or hummus or something like that, or if I'm lucky, there's some other thing, almond butter or something. Get a nice loaf of bread and a bunch of vegetables and make a sandwich, and you can do it so inexpensively. So that's the other thing I want to keep reminding people is that you don't have to think along the lines of health food stores. Sometimes, I mean, health food stores are nice, and there's some incredible ones, but just any good shop that's got some old school kind of concept going on, and you'll find some good food. So that's something I found a lot. Okay, so you're going through some lunches here. Rob Wiss. Hopefully that's how you say your name, Rob. But Rob had raw cashews and cinnamon tea. Wow, that's great. I just read some pretty. I love raw cashews. They're great. I love cashews. I love cashew butter, and there's all these new cashew-based fermented cheeses and things. But I just read something saying cashews kill it wasn't cancer cells, but some kind of fucking virus or viral infection. Not the big one, but um, I didn't know that. There's some compound in cashews that are very good for you. All I know is they're good for you, right? So it doesn't really. But I just funny to see cashews because I was reading about them yesterday. And Everett, how are you? You had muscadines and a banana. That's nice. Hey, a nice raw foods lunch. Can't go wrong. Sabina, thank you. So you're saying the elections is crazy shit. It's changing politics and party system. Okay, we'll see what's going to happen. Kanzler. And Kanzler is chancellor. And is it Kanzlerin? Kanzlerin. Is that the female version of that? Knödel, Knödel, Knödel. Bitte, mein Herr, bitte. Eine kleine Knödel. Danke. Uh, so no, Knödel. I think I've had that. That one sounds familiar. Let's see, Knödel. Oh yeah, that looks good. Okay. Um. Uh. And that's Czech Republic. Yeah. They got the Pilsner beer. Yeah. Oh, I'm not a fan of Pilsners at all. Ugh. It's like Budweiser. Right? Pilsners and lagers. Just not a fan. But uh let's see. Okay, let me see if there's some comments on YouTube. Wie geht es Ihnen heute? Did I get that right? Wie geht es Ihnen heute? Sabina. Wie geht es Ihnen heute? I'm working on it. Let's see. On YouTube. So Derek says, eating more sauerkraut. Okay, first day was bad. Okay, if you had a bad reaction. Um, sauerkraut's it keeps you honest because if your digestive system is not optimal, then sauerkraut will tell you. Sauerkraut will also help you fix your digestive system. It's giving you live enzymes, just all this digestive capacity. It's giving you all this microbacteria and just so much fiber and kind of it's cabbage that's just been broken down a little bit by salt and sitting there fermenting. It's so incredible. So I'm glad you're having it. I'm trying to eat more and more of it. I have probably two or three types of sauerkraut in the fridge. One's local, one's not. One's from Wild Brine, which is a great company. I'm seeing their stuff more and more in supermarkets. If you all have the chance to try Wild Brine, it's amazing. I keep forgetting to bring the containers down here, but yeah. Um, but I have two or three types of sauerkraut. I eat it all the time. Kimchi, umeboshi plums. Umeboshi plum vinegar is a big feature around here. So really, any chance to get that live enzymatic action into your body is important. Again, I'm going to have an expert here in a couple of weeks from Serotonin Ferment. This is this company that does. Where is that? Oh, there it is. There's that card. So that's the company, Serotonin Ferment. We're gonna have the owner and the creative person behind this coming on in a couple of weeks. So, but we're going to talk a lot about the importance of fermented food, live food, high enzymatic food, alkaline food. Those of you who've been checking this show out for a year, I'm, uh, I always present that that's very important food, and I'll always maintain that. Um, and there's many types of fermented food. Wine is fermented, and tempeh is fermented. Miso is fermented. Uh, Real yogurt is fermented, but hardly anyone has that, and you just can't buy that in the store. That would be raw animal milk that is fermented with a culture and then unpasteurized. But that's virtually impossible to get unless you're doing it yourself. So why bother? But you know, it is a fermented food, and there's all kinds of things. I think ceviche is technically a fermented food. It's a vinegar-based thing. There's fermented foods in Africa, in India, parts of Asia. People have pickled things and turned them into fermentation for millennia. Okay, so back to your comments. Celine says, I don't know. Oh, I don't know either, to be honest. Okay. Turkey has been buying from outside the last few years. Exporting has decreased. $1 is worth 9 Turkish liras. Right. So your vegetable, your melons and peaches from outside. Wow. That's funny because Turkey has a huge amount of agriculture. Why would they? Various economic reasons, various political reasons. Brendan Casey, how are you? Have I been well? I've been hanging in there. I'm hanging in there, my friend. I tell you, I got to stay away from social media sometimes. Yeah. Wie geht es Ihnen heute? That's what I want to know. How are you today? We 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 try to be bilingual here sometimes. Um, Derek says can't eat spinach without putting vinegar. Okay, that's cool. Can't go wrong with some vinegar. I like spinach raw or steamed or something, but sure. Bassam is in the house. Uh, you had a fermented Coors Light. Yeah. What does that mean? You took a Coors Light and made it further. So okay. All right. Well, I shared the Vegans link. Great company in Germany. And even if you're not there, it's just cool to see what how hardcore this shit is in that country. Let's see. I'll put it there again for those of you that. Ooh. Okay, there we go. For those of you who might not have seen it. So there's always news, folks. I just saw that Yves Saint Laurent, the the design house, just dropped fur. Wow, crazy! All these companies are doing that. Um, and we've talked before about these Chinese restaurant chains, and there's one Chinese restaurant chain with over 500 across mainland China, and they started serving Beyond Pork. What's Beyond Pork? You might be wondering. If you don't know, it's seitan, the wheat gluten type of thing that is centuries old. What's funny about this is it's full circle. The Chinese and what would be now Tibet, Bhutan, that whole area, the monks, the Buddhist monks, wherever they were geographically, but Chinese, some of them, centuries ago said, we don't want to kill. We don't want to kill animals. And they had discerned that, okay, but we're going to kill a carrot by pulling it out of the ground, or, eat fruits from trees and things. But they realized there's a vast difference. People are always trying to play some equating games there. But the Buddhists asked the chefs to develop a alternatives to chicken and different flesh foods that they had. And so there's this rich cuisine in Chinese cuisine that utilizes root vegetables and coconut flesh and mushrooms and then wheat gluten. They really developed a way to take grains and even some legumes and cook them, ferment them, change the texture, and make things like meat, like pork, etc. You jump ahead a couple thousand years, we've got this whole industry going on now, right? Beyond beef, beyond pork, all these things. I've pointed out that Beyond Pork, which is the company, as I was saying at the beginning of this, is in a chain in China that's over 500 locations. And Starbucks has been using Beyond Pork or it's the other one, Impossible, in these little breakfast dumplings that are popular in Shanghai and Malaysia and Singapore. Excuse me. COVID. Hong Kong, all these places. And I love that because this is a culture that really loves their pork, right? I mean, they're serious. It's very hard in certain parts of those countries to be vegetarian. I wouldn't say very hard, but a bit of a challenge because you got to ask and point and know a bit of the language. Just because pork is, it's like seasoning, man. It's just gonna be there. The broth, the flavoring, they do things. So the punchline here, though, is if something like Impossible Pork and Beyond Pork are blowing up in these countries, wow, something's happening because they're not messing around. If they're going to have an alternative, it better smell, taste, feel, chew, everything like the actual thing, the flesh thing. So I'm very excited when I see these things happen. Of course, there's always going to be someone to say, why do you want something that's like a meat if you're a vegetarian? I know. I'm not saying that I'm excited because I want to eat this all the time, but I'm excited because it's changing it for people who are in the middle, who kind of sometimes eat vegetarian or they'd like to. They're vegetarian hesitant, and they're doing their own research, and they say, well, let me try this. It's got to attract them, and if you can do things that's similar to what they grew up with and what they enjoy, so I think it's great. So I'll put this news item. On the Facebook and YouTube people. I'm sorry, the YouTube and the other folks. I'll just share screen and I'll show it to you. Derek, I do not know that there's a big salmonella outbreak. What's the cause? I mean, because it could be lettuce, but it could be chicken. So tell us what that news item is. Um, hey, Robin, you used to make fermented beet juice. That's great. Yeah, that sounds good. And yeah, that I've had fresh beet juice and stuff, but never fermented. It's always delicious though. But I can imagine enzymatic, right? Digestive enzymes and stuff, and prebiotics, really, things to feed your own probiotics. Brendan, no, I did not cover the news. This is interesting to hear, folks. Brendan Casey's saying the South Korean president is suggesting a possible dog meat ban. Wow, I like it. Um, Interesting. Derek, yeah, tell us more about the salmonella. Vegetasinnenheit. Anyway, so that was one news item. I was picked two or three. I'm on a couple email lists, folks. I'm on some email lists. I'm on the Vegonomics, I think it's called. Very interesting website. I think that's what it's called. And Veg Economist or something. Vegonomist. It's a tough to remember name. And they're interesting because they kind of talk about the economics and the venture capitalism of plant-based, whether it's a new restaurant opening or some of these things like Impossible Burger and all these things. They look at, you know, from a businessy, Wall Streety type perspective, we can critique that and its role in planetary destruction any day. I'm always ready to do that. But it's interesting from our perspective, looking at a meatless diet, to just kind of see that, oh, wow, if we can get people to shift their spending to a plant-based, sustainable sort of a thing, less packaging, right? Some vegan products need to, get on that train too, right? And use the hemp-based plastics, the bamboo plastics, the things that are going to biodegrade. Instead of a cardboard box, I'm seeing people trying to make bamboo cardboard and things like that. So that's great. But if we can get people to spend their dollar on those things, so the Vegonomics or whatever the hell it's called, let me get it right. That's an interesting email list that I'm on, and Vegonomist. Okay, that's what it's a tough name. But I'm on these email lists, so all week, folks, between the time that I'm here on Mondays, it's astounding the things you get in the email, and they are things are moving in from so many directions. Twice in the past week, Snoop Dogg was on the different news items. He's been great, man. He's writing checks, he's spending money, he's offering his time, his image, his fame to promote plant-based diet, which is great. And there's a couple of things he's been doing. So I'm going to put a link to Vegonomist, and as you would expect, a couple of the very fast-moving areas are these alternatives to meat and fish and things like that. Just because it's really hot right now, and okay. Yeah, let's face it. There's a business side of that where they're like, "Oh yeah, cool. Let's join in on that." But it's also got its own um, very valid thing to applaud. So I'll put a link to that too. I really recommend this site. Just because it's a cool read. You really can yeah, just kind of learn some things that are happening in with the investors and all that, and what vegetarian companies and chains and mainstream companies that are now switching to more plant-based. It gives you an idea of what's happening there. Okay, thank you, Derek. So the salmonella outbreak, August, 860,000 pounds of uncured antipasta products were recalled by CDC for salmonella. Oh, okay. Oh, great. Salmonella outbreak linked to chicken salad. Okay. So I'm going to have to read the rest of it. They think it may be related to those cups that have cilantro and lime that they serve in restaurants. Yeah, those things can get a little chancy, right? Ugh. Yeah, man. Mexican places really depend more than a lot of others. All I mean by that is the gap between the high quality and the low quality Mexican is a very far gap. Or as Rudy Giuliani would say, from the bottom to the top. From the bottom to the top. Remember that? Remember when he did that? So it's in the cups. All right. Oh boy. Okay, cool. So we put that news item up. I was hit 2 or 3, as you know, and it's exciting to see this things happening. So Snoop Dogg's really been doing it, man. He's out there all the time now, talking about stuff. Vegan chocolate chip peanut butter cookie pizza. That's crazy. It's a it's a giant cookie, that you slice into. Um, I just randomly saw that, and that looks damn good. I'm not a big sweet tooth person, but peanut butter and chocolate usually have my vote. So there, I put the recipe there, and it's getting to be fall. Time to bake some fattening, delicious desserts. S- Salmonella outbreak has rapidly something. Okay, I'll take a look at that. Hmm. Salmonella outbreak rapidly growing. CDC, yeah. CDC's been. Okay, that's terrible. 127 people infected, huh? 25 states, so half the states in the USA. That's how fast this stuff gets out there, right? I mean, the modern distribution chain means that something is picked on a Sunday in California, and by Monday it's in probably 20, 25 states, um, by Tuesday at least. But that sucks to hear. Uh, Jerome, how are you, my friend? Okay, cool. I'll look for that. Derek says, "Am I ready for the holidays?" Getting excited about celebrating in the house. I'm kind of, you know, it's a two-part answer. I don't begrudge other people enjoying their holidays. Do your thing. I'm kind of agnostic on all of it. It's funny though. I love the fall. I love that time of the holidays just because it's nostalgic. Thinking about my family, and I lost both my parents over a 10-year period, 2009 and 2019. So that was the only. And I have two sisters, so it's nice to correspond. And if I'm lucky, I see them. But I don't give a fuck. My other half does not, do that much for holidays either. And again, it's family, right? We hang out with her family. We we have grandkids, and so there's other people that enjoy the holidays that we that we support. But my favorite thing about holidays is everyone's off the fucking road and no one's calling me, and I don't have to work if I'm in part of a day job at that time. But yeah, so not much here, man. But Halloween is a good one because I love horror movies and shit like that. But I'm also other than musical gear, I'm quite unconsumerist. I literally don't spend much. I don't have much money. I'm always on a budget. I've been a musician for decades. So whenever I get a little money, it goes into musical equipment or maintaining things or buying a new piece of gear, repairing a piece of gear. So kind of tchotchkes and gifts and stuff. It's just not part of my thing. So again, with holidays, I like if people can get together a little bit, make a meal, be out in the backyard, or just all those parts of holidays. But I think it's funny that we've made it more about this other stuff. Sabina, yes, you can call on Thanksgiving. Absolutely. We do a little meal actually. So again, it's a meal thing. It's a food thing with a nice vegan meal. There's a little. I always like to integrate a little. Speaking of which, so that's what I do on the holiday. I just play some music. Derek says Halloween's your favorite. Okay, you got married October 28th. It must have been a nightmare for your wife, right? It was at the nightmare on Halloween. No, I'm kidding. Bassam kicking some science, and he tells us that the CDC is part of the Illuminati, which is run by Fauci, Soros, and Satan's son. Where did that come from? Did I mention the CDC? Oh my God. All right. That's great, man. Over on YouTube. Okay, Celine is saying the president sucks. A long list of problems. Wow. Okay. You're talking about the president in Turkey, right? Right. Yeah. 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 I see. Okay. So don't get arrested. No, it's no. Ding. Let's do the sound effects here. So the key hitting the ground. That's a little bit of Foley, but it wasn't too good. Um, anyway, wow, Turkey. I haven't been following Turkey, but I know you had a really screwed up president a couple years ago. I guess it's the same guy. Frank Bellina, how are you, my friend? What's going on? Good to see some of you on YouTube. Cheryl, yeah, hi from Florida, right? Wow, Florida. My heart goes out to y'all. What the fuck? You got that governor, right? Death Santis. Just denying science. I love that guy because just to segue into some news, which I wanted to do. I got a few questions for people. Death Santis. Here's a guy with the worst fucking numbers almost in the country, right? It's either Florida or I forget. Alabama might be worse on some metrics. Texas is worse. The thing is, there's about 4 or 5 metrics, right? There's daily infections, there's deaths, there are runaway infections, and there's number of people in your hospitals. So you have a couple indicators, but Florida is the worst on a lot of them many days. But sometimes Alabama's a little worse, or Mississippi's a little worse on some of. Another metric is raw number and percentage of people vaccinated. But this guy, I love it. In the face of plunging numbers, he still just says that, yeah. So good luck wherever you are. Hope it's fine. Um, mm, mm, okay. Sabina's turning in. All right. Well, uh, have a guten Nacht, right? Is that how you say it in German? Guten Nacht. Um, and have a good night. Guten Nacht. Guten Nacht, meine Freund. Meine Freund. Guten Nacht, meine Freund. It's the pronunciation.
Gute Nacht, mein Freund.
Gute Nacht, mein Freund. Freund. That's the tough one in Germany. That the vowels. Freund.
Gute Nacht, mein Freund.
Freund. Gute Nacht, mein Freund. All right, we'll try for that. Um, Schlaf gut. Okay. Have a good one, Sabina. And good luck with the elections. I know it's, always stressful, but I have confidence. And I was reading about it quite a bit, and at least you're either getting center left or semi left. You're not sliding far to the right like Hungary and Poland to some degree, or some of these other countries. Fuck, what the hell, man? Hungary, right? That shit has gotten crazy. Um, you know, um, thank you, Jerome. Uh, okay. Um, yeah. So the question I had for people, especially the Facebook people, because I was talking about this quite a bit, and I was so social media bums me out, man. It's a fucking necessity just as an artist because you have to reach people. And right now, my art consists of always music. I'm always doing something musically, but I'm tending to do things in a closed circuit lately, which is my um, Patreon, which you should stop by. And I do open streams on Friday night and Saturday on synthesizer workshops, and I do a performance. But I also do some guitar stuff. I'm doing an album focus starting to come up soon where we take classic albums. I do my live book writing on Tuesday nights where I'm about almost 100,000 words into my book, and I write it live here on the web, telling stories, and you watch it on the split screen, and it becomes words on the page. So I'm writing my book. So I'm doing all these other things. The interviews I do, I have a couple guitar students. So social media is useful to just kind of reach people, right? And I do not like where Facebook has headed. Man, it's really really depressing. Yet fascinating because you kind of go, wow. I like Instagram a bit more because it's just shorter and it's pictures and I like Twitter. Twitter's great. I mean, a lot of people are repelled by Twitter. I usually say, then you haven't managed it well. Because what's cool about Twitter is you can really define the interest, the little things that you are looking at. You can really make a little, and so you can have no network or mainstream media news on it if you want. I mean, some things will leak through, but if unless you follow CNN, follow NY Times, follow Guardian, which those are pretty good ones, especially the latter two or three. But I follow weird shit like you know, uh, maps, different ancient maps. Is one of the things I follow, and every day they print an ancient map. I follow another thing called Composers Doing Normal Shit, and it's uh, 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 like Igor Stravinsky buying sneakers, or Philip Glass driving a cab, or Mingus with his hunting gun, or you know Miles Davis cooking, or it's kind of a cool thing. Anyway, the thing about Twitter is you can really define it, and you can get some recipes and natural food ideas, and you can just ask Twitter for, I like these 6 things: James Bond movies, uh, mushroom recipes, pictures from space, and Aztecan history. If that's all you like, you can have Twitter, and that's your Twitter is just busy with those 4 or 5 items. So it's cool. Um, anyway, I'm just riffing, and I want to ask people what things have been like for them, because I'm getting exhausted by the anti-science, kind of anti-vaccine sort of thing. So if someone's on here who is anti-vaccine, I'd love to hear from you. In fact, I'm going to start offering this at the beginning of the show. Sorry, I'm having La Croix burping because I've got the carbonated water. So thirsty. That's the thing with this bubbly water. I forgot. You can't drink it too quickly. But I'd like to invite you on. I will bring you on camera. Well, on Zoom. So it's going to be um, on YouTube and Twitch and Twitter. But I invite you, if you're anti-vaccine and you have some things you'd like to share and explain, I'll bring you on because I'm fascinated by it. But usually people don't want to come on. They don't want to be in a forum where you can't just read some shit off a script. Anyway, I posted a thing on, and this is all relevant to food, folks, because remember, this has to do with a zoonotic virus. This is a virus that uh, we don't know exactly how it got into human beings. I'm willing to say that doesn't matter. Were they experimenting with it in a lab and checking it out and it escaped? It got into the ecosystem? Or was it one of these wet markets, these horrific, what did Bill Maher call it the other day? Farm market from hell. I think that's great. And Bill Maher's been a long time friend of animals. He's been vegetarian. I don't know if he is currently, but he used to be back in the 90s. And he's always been for animal rights, against animal cruelty, things like that. I regret that I didn't turn to my right and say, Bill, big fan of yours. I was that close to him. I worked catering for a show in New York City on, let's see, it would have been September 8th, 2001. Do the math on that. New York City, September 8th, 2001. That's right. Just 3 days before 9/11, was in New York City at a PETA event. The PETA, I don't know, what it was, a fundraiser of some sort. And Bill Maher was there, which, I'm just detracting over to him because he's really done a lot for animals. But yeah, we were in New York City a couple days before this shit happened, and you know, so um, yeah, just kind of jumping around there. I'd love to hear more of your comments and questions. NY Grasshopper. Okay, so you've heard people say it changes your mRNA. Okay, or something. That's great. Thank you for saying that. Well, if people are saying it changes your mRNA, then they're wrong because it's mRNA means messenger RNA. It is mRNA. So, but if someone has said to you it changes your mRNA, it proves the point of the problem we have. It means they just read some stuff and don't digest it, and they just turn it into. So the two, there's about 10 vaccines globally, at least. But the three that are in discussion in us, the third largest country in the world, and where I live and where many people watching live, those three, or two of them, are mRNA related. Pfizer, which they did with BioNTech, right, the German company. Moderna. Um, and by the way, Moderna, of course, has RNA in the word. Um, And then the third one, J&J, which I got, is a little. It's halfway in between. It's an adenovirus. So it's another type of a virus. So it's the only one that has a bit of a throwback to old school vaccines that actually would use, you know, dead virus or some virus extract or some component of virus, some altered virus. Somehow the virus is always involved in previous vaccines. Very straightforward science. Yes. So what is new about these is they are messenger RNA related. The other ones, and that's what's freaking people out. A, because it just sounds weird. It must be that because they're eating GMO foods. They're eating GMO corn. Half these people, you know, I love it. Some trucker climbing into his truck, texting his buddy from some stuff he saw on the Alex Jones show. You got to think about that. This is somebody who just had a fast food sandwich with bromated flour and a Diet Coke with NutraSweet with all of its neurological connections and some chicken that had growth hormones and steroids and antibiotics out the wazoo and food coloring and maybe those animals cannibalized because they feed them stuff they would never eat like animal flesh. Um, with a bag of GMO corn chips and hydrogenated oil and then wash it down with a big gulp with corn syrup and FD&C red number 5 and blue number 3 and I'm just riffing here, but that's like a kind of typical mainstream kind of working person type. Like I'm saying, people who work in the USA who for better or worse, they run down to Arby's or they run over to a place or they order from some deli. I just listed the fucking ingredients that some of these people put in their body. Zero question. They never ask. Well, I don't know what's in it. I don't know what's in that pork roll, egg and cheese, and a diet Mountain Dew. I don't know what's in it. No, they just fucking eat that every day. So that's what. My blood boils. Frank, I don't know about this PETA thinning practices. Please tell me more about that. What does that mean? Thinning. It sounds a little ominous. Yeah. Jerome says, Ich bin in Willy Brandts Deutschland aufgewachsen. SPD war damals Spiels. I love it. Are you talking to Sabina? I love it. Yes, you are. Talking German. This is great. My German-speaking friends. And Robin, you know Jerome, right? We got some Brunswick people in the house. Jerome, if you don't know him, that's crazy because you have so many friends in common. Bob Ramos, I guess, and all kinds of people. Bob Musso, certainly John Ritchie, and you got to know Jerome. I mean, we're talking 80s New Brunswick here. Anyway, thank you, Robin. That's very. I'm honored to hear you say that. Because to have an actual scientist describe my rant about vaccines as accurate really means a lot, my friend. Thank you. Because I try to not. It's bullshit to just talk bullshit, isn't it? And so I do try to stay scholarly about this stuff and to be just like I was when I had to actually read something properly for a grade. And I don't fuck around. When I don't know something, I will say, let me look at that. Let me find out and get back to y'all. When it's an opinion, I try. Sometimes you don't always get that right. When it's an opinion, I try to point out, okay, this is my opinion. And it's usually clear. But when I'm talking about this stuff, I really want people to go and look it up. Don't trust me. I'm going to tell you what we're seeing in medical data and, from very good sources. But please go look it up. So thank you. Yeah, I also think it's easier than people think, right? If you just took half hour and read about each of these vaccines, you'd have a lot more than your jackass brother-in-law sending you Glenn Beck videos and articles, or I love it, man. So again, where are the anti-vaxxers? They run away, man. They send me shit on my private messages. I love it. And then, I my other strategy is to just try to keep it humorous. These threads I've been doing lately, and if you haven't seen this, if you're on Facebook, I did a thread about ivermectin, and this is the point I'm getting to. And it does have to do with food, because I'm passionate about real food, real ingredients, things you can pronounce, things you don't have to read the ingredients, like an apple, like some steamed kale, like a whole grain sandwich with the bread having 4 ingredients, right? A grain, yeast, salt, sourdough, or something, or caraway seeds. I'm an advocate for simplifying your diet. Eat some fruit every day. And I'm not being preachy, I'm just trying to be a cheerleader. And I'm also I say it with respect, just urging people to take control. It's the greatest thing you can take control of your own health. So it's cheerleading rather than preaching, but it's also me trying to amplify my inner voice and remind this guy to eat more fruit and to go, so it's a voice that you have to have, because it's real easy to eat bullshit, man. I mean, I'm pretty good at it because I don't like to feel like crap. So I actually don't eat, things like, too many chips and candies and stuff like that. I love chips and salsa. That's one of my, a long time. But I try to have it with a meal. Like, okay, let's have some. Like we had tacos a day or two ago. And so you have some chips and salsa with it, But I don't really eat much other junk. I'm just not attracted to it. But I want to help people find healthy things that you will crave. So that's part of this. But again, the connection I'm trying to make is all this noise about I don't know what's in it is kind of one of my focuses today, because I'm just hearing that endlessly, or even it's changing your DNA. Well, it's not. I mean, here's the other thing. I want to reach out to us pro-vaccine people, us pro-science people, pro-rational people. Let's be a little more patient, though, with the people asking questions. And I have to separate that. There's people asking questions. There's people nervous for legitimate reasons. They may be black or Hispanic or Asian. Those are the 3 big groups that have been experimented on by white people. Okay? And some, not all, some white people need to understand that it's okay that people are nervous because they've had a handful of family members who've been given inactive birth control to see what happens, or have been given or have been part of the Tuskegee experiments, or who have friends or relatives in Africa where Nestle gave them, what was it, some kind of formula where they knew it was fucked up, and they kind of, so this goes on and on. It has happened to Hispanic, Latino, Latina, Latinx people. It's happened to Asian people. It's happened in other countries to Asian people. So if there's nervousness about, top-down government medications, it's okay. It's okay. We need to talk to people and get them through that. And there's been a great deal of that. So that's one segment. Then there's this other segment of, I'm too busy, I don't have time. Fortunately, those are getting cleared off the list, because now the shit's getting real. It's been real. It's been real. It's been real since March 13th, 2020, when we realized, okay, we're on our own. We're on our own. This president doesn't have the spine to do anything properly about this. So it's been real. But it's gotten super real lately, and a lot of people who have been hesitant are now getting in there. But it's that third group, and I want to talk to some of that third group. The third group who is like they're suddenly experts about all this stuff, and they're just refusing to and using words like force and fascism and dictatorship. It's fascinating to hear those kind of words. Makes my blood boil because there are countries where you are actually forced to do things now and in the not too long ago past. History shows us. And real forcing is police forces knocking down your door and taking you and taking your children. Real forcing is the Nazis bringing your neighbors into the street and shooting them in the head in front of everyone to make sure you understand you're going to comply and you're next. Real forcing is the Nazis strapping Jewish people and homosexuals and gypsies and I apologize. I hear you're not supposed to use that word, but Romanes, is that the correct word to use? I can't keep track, but I've heard gypsy all my life, so it's gonna take me a while. But the Nazis and black people and Poles and whoever they can get their hands on that weren't Aryans. That was real forcing. They would strap people to tables and inject them with drugs and give them various pharmaceuticals and see how much of this or that drug till they die of poison. So there's a lot of forcing. Idi Amin did a lot of forcing. Okay, Chavez and Castro did their fair share of forcing. Real forcing, not this bullshit privileged American nonsensical description of it. Wow, no one's forcing you. You just can't go to the David Byrne concert. No, you're not being forced. It's laughable. So I want to hear from some of you to explain to me where you think it's forcing. Now, my invitation is to bring you on camera with me. And right now, with the technical problems, I can do that, but we'll only be on YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter. But I'm happy to do it because I want you to. I'm not going to shout you down, and I'm not going to not let you talk. I will listen, and then here's the problem, though, and why a lot of you are not going to come on. I'll actually answer your questions. That's what you don't want. See, folks, that's what they don't want. They don't really want answers. I said this before the FDA. This is just one example. Before the FDA approved, those of you, a couple of you know, Frank Bellina remembers this, and a handful of others. I did a post saying, "Here we go, folks. It's move the goalpost week." And a lot of people were like, "Well, what does that mean? What is he talking about?" And I think Frank, you said it, and a couple of people said, "Oh, yeah, FDA approval is coming in the next 24 hours, 48 hours." And bingo, as soon as the approval came, all those people who said, "Well, it's not FDA approved," they moved the goalposts, right? You know that term. They moved the goalposts. They said the goalpost is right here, and they said, "I'm not getting the vaccine because this line has not been crossed for me. FDA is not approving." Okay, we wake up the next day, FDA approves. These same people, because they're dishonest, because they're hypocritical, because they're not interested in a rational, fact-based discussion, because they're not able to parse things logically, because they're not willing to look at confirmation bias. Those people, once FDA approved, once we reach this line in the sand, for another mixing of metaphors, FDA does this. They move the line. See? And people do that in arguments. People do that. It's the most obnoxious thing. But usually it's just obnoxious. Now it's costing human lives. So, All right, Celine says they created a DNA size tracking chip. Right. Okay, you're just going through what some of your friends say. So that's a good one, too. The tracking thing is such fucking bullshit, because you know what's a tracking device? This right here. That's a tracking device. Whether it's an iPhone or a Google voice phone or it's an Android or it's an old school flip phone, they know where you are. Let me get some effects on my voice. They know where you are. Don't be an idiot. They know where you are. This nonsense that oh, they'll track me. Oh my god. I don't want the government tracking me. Let me text my buddy and send him this video here. I don't know why I've become redneck trucker when I'm going there, but it's funny. Let me see here. Fauci owns stock in. I just read this article. Wait till Billy Joe reads this. Fauci is just. Let me see. Send. Oh, this damn phone. Send. There we go. Upload video. Because the government's not going to be tracking me. No siree. What do I have? Oh, I got a message here from my TikTok. Okay. TikTok. Here it is. Ivermectin reports. TikTok. Let me see. Ivermectin. Yeah. It's a magic cure, and it's going to... see, I told you. This is just, government's going to track me. I don't know. It's just absurd, these people. You're sitting on a phone. You're sitting on a computer. You're sitting on a internet network. Can we move past that, Ugh. Yeah, it's a shame. What is the ivermectin? Here we go. I'm looking on TikTok for ivermectin because that's how I roll. Uh, let's see what we can. Oh, no. What do we have? Calendar. Yeah, let's get rid of that. I have to open up some memory here. So, Celine, thank you for just throwing out some things that you've been hearing. And, yeah, that's alarming because a DNA size tracking chip. Let's think about that. The DNA spiral, or is the RNA the spiral? Robin, help me out there with biology. I forget. But whatever. We're talking stuff at the nano size level. And yes, we have nanotechnology. Yes, they can do all kinds of things. But you really, you think they're going to make a chip to follow your dumbass? I know, folks. I know. It's really problematic. Super problematic. Okay, YouTube questions. I saw Celine had a question there. Let's see about Facebook. Okay, great. We're getting some good responses here. Lori, how are you, Lori? Lori says, I vaccinate people regularly at work. Last night I had two people tell me right before I jabbed them they're worried about their DNA changing. I had to stop and explain and not yell, LOL. So let's explore that for a second. And Robin Renee is here. She's a biologist. You're a biochemist. I always forget, my dear friend. You're fucking brilliant. I know that. And you're a scientist. And more than that, you're not just a trained scientist. You're a scientist in the real world. Your job is clinical science. And that's important to me because that means you're getting new info. You're in the real world. You're in 2021, updating your knowledge of science continually. So please correct me on this, or anyone else that's medically trained. My understanding is that the mRNA, the messenger RNA, the messenger part is what is manufactured. And yes, there is some nanotechnology knowledge to put together mRNA. So that's the other thing that scares these people. They hear the word nanotechnology and they freak out. But as far as I understand it, the mRNA sends a message to your DNA, to your cells, right? To the protein manufacturing part of your cells, right? To make the spike protein, which then your immune system simply responds against and builds immunity. It's actually pretty simple. That's kind of, I can understand that in high school. I don't think that's unreasonable. Most people with high school biology can understand what I just said. mRNA comes in, it sends a message to the cells to manufacture something. This thing is a spike protein. Your body just then says, whoa, 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 that is a foreign object. Let's construct immunity against that spike protein. It's virtually, uh, uh, um, in terms of the reactivity of your cells, it's at least similar enough to actual COVID that when actual COVID comes along, should that unfortunate incident occur, you now have the immunity. So your body goes, that spike protein stuff. Grrr. Macrophages, white blood cells, immune T cells, whatever different ones there are. The army comes in and knocks it out because it's been taught about spike protein. Correct me if I'm wrong there. Lori, Robin, anyone. It's not a far stretch to say that the mRNA is changing the activity of your DNA, right? Because your DNA is instructing cells to make things, right? That's what our very complicated and beautiful biology is about. And likewise, all the vertebrates and all the invertebrates and really all life on Earth that we know of, there's DNA, there's RNA, there's genetic activity going on, and that they call it a code for a good reason. It's got the keys, it's got the instructions to make your hair and to make your teeth and to make new blood cells and on and on and on and on. And likewise, a blade of grass has instructions to make more blades of grass. So correct me if I'm wrong, though. These people that are worried about their DNA changing, I mean, they have it a little wrong. But my point is, can we respect them a little bit? I mean, they're pretty close, right? They're pretty close to it is telling your cells to do something. And I think we just need to respect them. That sounds fucked up, right? If we just rephrase it and say, this vaccine tells your body to make something. This thing happens to result in immunity. How about if we just rephrase it that way? Because I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, biologists, biochemists who are here, tell me if that sentence is incorrect. The vaccines are placed in your body, and because they are mRNA, they have a set of instructions and directions. That mRNA tells your cells to make spike proteins. Please tell me if that's incorrect, because everything I've read says that's the simplistic method. My point being, the people that are doubting things, when they say, I'm worried, man, it's changing my DNA, they're incorrect, right? Because it's not really changing your DNA to where you're going to be a fucking unicorn or you'll be able to fly or you're going to lose your eyesight or something. But they're also not like a million miles off, right? I mean, the vaccines are telling your body to make something. So I'm just saying, let's at least respect them up to that point. This is where it breaks down, folks. Because once we provide those people answers, though, and we say, chill out. mRNA technology, messenger RNA technology, and what does RNA stand for? Ribonucleic acid, riboxynucleic acid, I forget. But it's not really, it doesn't really change the discussion. But if we say to these people, hey, mRNA research goes back for decades. They've been looking at this technology for a host of diseases, most importantly, cancer, but also MS and lupus and other autoimmune diseases, because autoimmune diseases have a genetic component. And if we can tell genes to do something different, we may save some lives. We may have people having less MS and lupus and other autoimmune type things. Other syndrome X issues can be addressed. Sickle cell, right? Anemia, right? A blood-oriented situation, a disorder that affects predominantly people of African descent. They've been looking at mRNA to help with that. So it's not something Fauci came up with last summer. Jesus fucking Christ, you people. I want to meet you halfway and I want to respect you and say, you're right. It's new. It's called mRNA and you've never heard of that. You're right on those points. Uh, but then you start being wrong because you don't go look up what mRNA is. It's not some new shit. It's as a matter of fact, one of the interesting things about mRNA is because it's so much funding in it now and so much attention and I mean literally there's research facilities now around the planet that are starting up that are funded. There's segments of uh, uh, um, medical research facilities and segments of universities that do genetic research, that do cancer research, who now are specializing in mRNA. Why wouldn't they? Because it works. And if you bother to look at this, we actually have some really good news coming up in the next few years, because they've leapfrogged ahead on a lot of cancer um, uh, um, research because of mRNA. So you may have a relative who is going to be saved because they can understand the genetics of cancer now and get in there and do stuff because of mRNA. I can't wait. I forgot that the other day. I can't wait for that moment. I can't wait for the first motherfucker whose life is saved by mRNA and cancer. I will fucking I can't. I gotta not be angry on the air because let me take a deep breath. But I think you know where I'm going. Because when they start saving, and it's very personal to me because I lost my other half of 20 years, over 20 years, to cancer. And if we find out in 5 years that mRNA can cure a whole range of cancers, it will be a point of breakdown for me. Because, and for anyone who's lost people from cancer, and I've lost a few, because you'll go, wow, if only they had this. Wow. But what I can't wait is for when mRNA saves the lives of some of these people that are just being ridiculous about this. Because there's the point I'm trying to make. There's a rational discussion to be had, and let's have a discussion. Let's ask questions. That's what you do in an open society, in a technological planet where there's new science and technology all the time. You do. You say, well, what's that? What's irradiation? What's GMO? Let me find out, right? I can come up with all kinds of things that concern us all, so we research them. But I can't wait for the day that we can say to some of these people, once mRNA is helping kids with cancer or people with some genetic disorder, I can't wait to hear what those people say, because they will run to that cure. All of a sudden, Fauci's little invention will be what saved their mother or their wife or their child or themselves. So that's the whole thing. RNA, because I like to really, really be accurate here, and my memory was correct. RNA stands for ribonucleic acid. I remember taking biology in college, which I did. I don't have a degree in biology or chemistry. I have a degree in computer science, an associate's degree in computer science, 1985, Middlesex County College. But I thought I was going to get my engineering degree, and so I went on past my associates, and I took a lot of university level science. So I took university level physics, biology, college level chemistry for a year, 2 semesters. College level biology also. I took a lot of math, calculus 1, calculus 2, calculus 3. I took combinatorics. I took statistics courses. I took a lot of stuff. But I remember laughing, or not laughing, but I remember going, how does ribonucleic acid, how is it RNA? It should be RA, because it's 2 words, ribonucleic and acid, RA. But I remember that 35. Boy, it's even longer, isn't it? What is this? Fucking 2021. Jeez. We're talking 37, 38 years. I remember saying, okay, RNA, even though it's right, because usually initials, it's one per word. But anyway, so I did remember correctly. RNA is ribonucleic acid. And um, all right, so I'm going to shut up now and see what some of your comments are because I think, I'm just trying to bridge the gap here. Okay, great question. So let's go to some questions. Kurt Hampstead, how are you, my friend? Um, Bassam, you're the best. I see. I never know what to say about the Bassam thread. Do I leave it alone? And Everett, let me just say, don't worry about it. Okay, he knows. Uh, Kurt, great question, Kurt. And this comes up every day, and I talk to you about it. Kurt Hampstead, a dear friend, somebody I've known since we were probably 6 years old. Um, and looks like Lori's answering that question too. So, Kurt, Israel, which is very important because they were the first large population and the first advanced medical infrastructure country to vaccinate a large percentage of their people very quickly. They were really first in line. Why? Because they took the gamble and made some deals with Pfizer, and they said, sure, we will give you medical information, research information about our population. They made that promise very early on in exchange for a pretty good deal. I think it was like, I used to have all these numbers memorized. I think they paid like $17 a dose. Someone could correct me if I'm wrong, but this is the order of magnitude that we're talking about. I think they paid like 17, I want to say 16, $17. I think USA paid like 18, $19 a dose, something like that. And then Europe, which is the problem in Europe fucked up and dragged their feet and couldn't agree on stuff. And two things happened. Now it was 20, 21 a dose or whatever, Again, I'm remembering from memory, but you can go look this up. That's around where the numbers were. Israel got the best price. We were somewhere in there. Europe got fucked because they sat around and they had some disagreements in the EU. And there was some, Sweden, we will be immune. It's fine. Well, you're not. And you wasted several months. And so two things happened. They ended up paying a higher price. And when they started ordering their vaccines, the vaccine companies were like, we got orders. We're back ordered, guys. We're not going to get to your pizza till about 10 o'clock tonight. You should have called earlier. We're full up at the inn. You don't get your pizza till maybe midnight. Because Israel ordered at 5 o'clock, USA ordered at 6, and a couple of the third world countries actually ordered by 7 or 8 o'clock. You guys, and that's what happened in Europe. Their pizzas come in late and cold, and they're way behind. So to Kurt's, I'm getting hungry now. To Kurt's point, and I always have to bring food back into it so people, stick around. I'm talking about vegan pizza with a whole grain crust, by the way. My metaphors are healthy. But Kurt, one of the things though, because you're asking a question, I'm a little surprised too. But maybe you're asking rhetorically. You're saying practically all are vaccinated. Well, it's not practically all. It's I think they're 80 or 90%. Now we can look it up. But no one ever said that the vaccine keeps you 100% free of the virus. That's what we need to be honest about. I asked when I got that needle in my arm on April 6th, 2021, and they said it's J&J. They said it's, I forget the number, but I think J&J was like 88 or 90 or 92%, possible to avoid infection. And I thought, okay, cool. Because without it, if I get COVID, I'm 100% fucked. I'm 56 and out of shape. I will take the vaccine. Thank you. Give me that 88% likelihood of saving. So that's the first thing, Kurt. The vaccines have two things about them. And I'm talking vaccines in general. Smallpox, pertussis, whooping cough, polio, HPV, rabies. All vaccines have two important things about them. They have a percentage efficacy. There isn't one. That's 100% I mean, I've seen ones that are like 99 and shit. I mean, some of these other ones I just mentioned, they're really, really good, and they will take you right to perfect immunity. But they can't quite say that. But the second thing, and this also answers your Israel question, and it answers what's happening in the USA. Vaccines will not work in a large population of organisms, be they rats, chickens, humans, ocelots, bears, lions, tigers, elephants, whatever it is, mice. You have to vaccinate a critical mass of your total population. See what I'm saying? And that's the fuck up here. We fucked that up incredibly. Israel fucked that up pretty badly, but not as bad as us. And what I mean by that is when Israel got to, I think they were around 40%, maybe close to 50%. Again, check me on these numbers, folks. It's not really germane to the point I'm making. Um, I just can't remember the exact number, but the point I'm making is well below 90 or 95% vaccination of total population, right? Well below that, they went back out into regular life. They took their masks off and started going to shows again, and you know, just everything unmasked. And the problem there, when you're only at 50% or even less, that means the other 60% are susceptible to get the virus right away and have uh, whatever it is, 5, 7, 10%. We can argue about the percent likelihood of infection. And so the virus then started spreading around, and the bad luck of planet Earth is that's right when the Delta had entered the stage. So these countries like Israel and then the USA that did not wait until we had enough people vaccinated. We blew the doors open, started surrounding, even with the vaccine. You hear what I'm saying? Even with the vaccine, we then started spreading it around a bit more. The cool thing, the good thing, is that those of us that are vaccinated, even if we caught it, whether we were symptomatic or not, we were then helping Delta grow because we could spread it to someone who wasn't vaccinated. So hopefully, Kurt, that helps kind of round out what happened in Israel, because you're making it sound like, you know, when you say practically all are vaccinated, but now most still getting COVID, you're making it sound like you think that if someone gets the vaccine, there is zero way they can get a virus. And I really want to make that point clear, my bro. They never said that. No one ever said that. Go back and check your notes. They said Pfizer, they said this is 95% certain to prevent your infection. Here's where people got confused. And part two, if you do get the infection, it's around 93 to 96%, whatever, some other number, that you won't get severe symptoms. See, that's another area the confusion came in. There's kind of two 90 percentile numbers attached to these vaccines. I'll say that again because to me this is the core. This is the pearl in the oyster of the fucking confusion and conspiracies. I'll say it again. Ready? The two vaccines that are mRNA, because that's kind of our topic, Pfizer and Moderna, we were told that they're 90 some percent will protect you from even catching it. But they also, if you are someone who catches it, which is now 5%, 7%, whatever, right? Again, it's a kind of a tricky number to nail down. But they also said, part two, and this is what's totally lost on everyone, or on a lot of people, they said, what we also know is that if you are in that small percent that gets it, we're promising you 90 some percent likelihood that you won't end up in the ICU. See what I'm saying? They said this from day one. And every motherfucking day, I'm hearing from people who don't understand the basic math there. The clear math that they told us in December, January, February when they were rolling this out. Clear as day. They said that. They said, most of you who get this shot will not catch it. There'll be a small number who do. And in that small number, most of you will not go to the ICU in the hospital, but a small number will. And that's why there are some people who are dying who've got the vaccine. That's why there are some people who are in the ICU who had the vaccine. But it's a tiny, tiny number, right? Let's just use 7% as an average between the two, kind of Moderna, even J&J, and Pfizer. Let's just say it's 7. So the people that are vaccinated that are having serious problems and even dying, it's like 7% of 7%. See what I'm saying? Of hundreds of millions. In the U.S., it's about 160 million. In Israel, I forget the number. I think they're like 60, 80 million people, something. About 100 million, I think they are. We can look it up. But all right, Israel, I love talking about, and I love Israel. I've only been there once. But hopefully Kurt and other people with that same question, hopefully that, um, you know, that says something. Um, let's see. Kevin Ritchie says, I don't think it was that high of possibility of breakthrough affliction prevention, but it's damn good. Yes. The 90 some percent is, again, there's 3 numbers, so we got to be careful. And this is the thing too. The conspiracy people look at these numbers, and because they're different, they smell a rat. Oh, why can't they figure this out? Oh my God. I really got to bite my tongue. Because they're not stupid people. They're not. They're not. But some of them are. See what the dilemma is? It's like Trump's voters. They're not all racist, but a lot of them are. And so it's very difficult to talk about them because you can't call them all racist because then you're being unkind and unfair to those who are not. To those who just had some questions, who had some legitimate concerns about Hillary Clinton, who had legitimate concerns about the Democrats, who had legitimate complaints about the way things are going. So we can't call them all racists, but the dilemma we face is a whole fucking big pack of them are. So we come to this vaccine thing. We can't call them all idiots. It's not nice to do that. It's unfair. It's untrue. We can't call them all morons. It's not right to do that. But you see where I'm going. Metaphorically, it's the same exact thing. We have a problem because a whole lot of them are. So what do we do? My attitude is you go carefully and just treat them with respect and try to sort it out. So Kevin, yes, the possibility of breakthrough. I don't think it was that high a possibility of breakthrough. Oh, of protection. Yes, prevention. Yes, the breakthrough prevention was in the 90 percentile. Yes, I I guess you just missed that, but we were soaking in that. I think as early as December, but certainly January, February, March, right before it started putting needles in arms, it was public information. And today, the news, Pfizer announces that their vaccine will be 92.3% effective against. Don't you remember that? I mean, that's what. And the Moderna will be 95%. It was like this little arms race. And then there was like, and Johnson & Johnson bringing up 3rd place is going to have 89.7% protection or whatever it was. I forget, but that's kind of where the hierarchy was. But they always said that. But again, it's cool. The other problem, the other layered problem is I wasn't, but some people were tuning out of the news at that point. And you know, so, and that's okay. It's been a nightmare. It's okay to tune out of the news. Lori LS is saying 60% of the total population. I think you mean, and I'm sorry because I'm always a few minutes off from the comments. If you could, folks, in the comments, be incredibly pedantic and say the whole thing of what you mean, because when I see your answer, it might be, in this case, 7 minutes later. So, Lori, you're saying 62% of the total population. I believe, because I'm paying attention to what I'm saying as well. I know you are. Thank you so much. I think you're saying 62% of the Israeli population. Thank you, my friend. That's what it is now? I thought it was higher. They're kind of fucking up if they're not much higher than 62. But thank you if that's what you meant. I'm going to go backwards here. Jack Pyra had beans and tofurkey for lunch. Ah, that sounds delicious. Some nice protein, my friend. Beans, good for your heart. Beans filled with fiber. Yes. Oh, thank you, Lori. And I did suss that out, my friend. I was being a little dramatic there, but you're very easy to understand. So I guessed right. You were talking about that. So right now, September 27th, they're only at 62%. Wow. Okay. I thought it was higher, but okay. But to my point, and to answer Kurt's question, and to answer the question of half a dozen people who send me bullshit, send me ridiculous videos and articles, and I say they're bullshit because I read this shit last July. There's nothing new. Why don't you all come up with some new info too? That's what's funny with a lot of these conspiracy people. I've read the bullshit they're sending 3 months before they sent it. Ain't that a bitch? They send me shit that I was tired of reading about in the winter. And they're like, "Hey, dude, did you hear this? It turns out the ivermectin, blah blah blah, dexamethasone, blah blah blah." Bunch of bullshit. My favorite part is I read this 4 months ago. You clown. You don't even really understand the crap you're sending me. And again, all due respect, all due respect. I'm not talking about all of you. I'm not. I'm not talking about you know everyone who has a question. I have respect for you if you have respect for science and the facts and a rational discussion and the concept of confirmation bias, and if you're willing to criticize both sides, as I am. But the rest of y'all sending me bullshit, it's tiring. But I love it, and I want you to come on my show. Come on camera. I dare you. I dare you, without your phone, to look up the next horse-paced horse shit from some website. I dare you. Come on. Let's just talk person to person. But you can't, and you don't, and you won't, and you wouldn't. You even shan't. All right. So Jack, that sounds delicious, and I see you're pissed on Australia. Let me address that because I have friends in Australia. I have text communication with Australia on a daily basis. I have 3 good friends there, and 4 or 5 acquaintances. But I hear from Australia on a daily basis. Okay, so Lori, worried about the DNA changes happening. Yeah, okay. Jack says Australia rescued 10 puppies shot and killed by Australian council over recovering. That's terrible. I'd love to read the whole story. That sounds like there's some other shit going on. But that's terrible. At face value, we're killing puppies and dogs every day. We're killing millions of pigs and chickens and cows. That's what this whole show is about. So I'm not being flippant, but I'm just saying it's asymmetric sometimes when we end up, they killed dogs. This is can't. This is not saying you're crying, but I'm just saying that's kind of the energy that we get sometimes with these stories on the web, and these are people, eating a pork roll sandwich. So I need to find out, why did they kill these dogs? Is it concerned that the dogs had COVID? Because okay, Rob Wist says it is kind of forcing. If people are being eliminated from jobs, careers they worked hard at years, many decades. We just disagree, my friend. Here's where we disagree. If your job says you can't bring an open container of whiskey and start drinking at 10 a.m., right? Most jobs say that, somewhere in their HR paperwork. But really, the first fucking day you brought some Jack in and started drinking, you're going to hear from your boss. And if you fought it, saying it's my right, you can't force me to not drink whiskey at 10 a.m. at the desk. It will escalate to HR, and it will be a problem, and you'll fucking lose your job, right? Now, is that forcing you to not drink whiskey at 10 a.m. at your job? And I could go all day. If you're the person who says, I don't want to wear shoes at my corporate job, I just don't want to wear shoes. I don't like shoes. They restrict me. And so you're coming into the office with no shoes. But there's a building code, there's a safety code. Let's say you work making food and you don't want to wear shoes and you want to wear tank tops, so your armpits with hair hanging out are over the sandwiches. We have laws. We have rules. I'm sorry, not laws, but rules and regulations for food preparation. So follow me on that. If your boss says, hey, Susan, hey, Joey, you can't dress like this. We have a dress code. You can't have your armpits over the sandwiches. It's just not. So again, to your point, if you then lose your job and I'm the boss, am I forcing you to wear a fucking t-shirt? Come on, man. There's 100 things that anyone has to do to keep a job, right? Again, I could go all day, but if I have to, then it's fucking ponderous. You can't smoke a cigarette inside almost any job right now in the United States. You can't be drinking alcohol. You have to wear clothing. If it's a job in a power plant or a restaurant or a food preparation plant, you have even more regulations. It might be safety boots. You have to wear boots with an iron toe with certain jobs. You have to. And if you go, well, I don't care, bro. I like flip flops. You're forcing me, man. I mean, that's how ridiculous you have to make this. Because it's this vaccine requirement is just one more thing that the employer, just like they have an interest and responsibilities that you don't injure your toes. And of course, it's a really perfect metaphor. And I'll die on this sword because steel-tipped boots are not 100% effective, are they? But they're sure 70 or 90% more effective than flip-flops. So people wear them in power plants. I've worked in power plants. I've seen this. People wear hard hats in power plants. I worked in 3, maybe 4 power plants in New Jersey. Did you all know that? Those of you in New Jersey, I worked for PSE&G for about 3 or 4 years. I worked at the Trenton plant. I worked at the jet-fired plant on the Turnpike. Any of you have driven through New Jersey? Those power plants you see 5 miles, 3 miles south of Newark Airport, right? I worked there for a while. Those are jet-powered plants. They have jet and what do they have? Is that oil or coal? I forget. But I've worked everywhere. I don't give a fuck. I like to work. I'm not one of these privileged people who thinks that job's beneath me. I've been a waiter, a busboy, a dishwasher. I've worked in power plant, data entry. I've been a teacher. I'm a touring professional for 20 years. I love that work. But I've done it all, and I'll keep doing it all. I'll be the old black janitor at your kid's school. Happy to do that. Well, boy, let me tell you a story. I'll be sweeping and mopping, and suddenly I'll talk like an old southern black man. Boy, I tell you, you better stay in school. Shh, shh, shh. Tell us another story, Roscoe. I'll change my name to Roscoe, and I'll speak like a southern black man. And my hair is it's already there. See? I'm thinking this through. But seriously, Rob, really, when you're in a job or a career, you are working either for a private concern, which means the door is wide open. They can demand anything they want. Wear only red clothing. How dare you? Well, that's it. It's in our contract, and you signed it. Page 7. You must wear red clothing only. It's totally okay for them to do that because that's not discriminatory in the clearly defined Supreme Court finite definition of what discrimination is, which you know what it is, but we're all playing games here. Discrimination is against sexual orientation, gender, religion, racial background, national origin, handicap status. I said gender or sex. You know, did I miss one? But you know, those are the things that are actual discriminatory. Not, I don't want to get a vaccine. Well, then don't get one. Our company, Target, or the Fontaine Theater, or the Wawa, we have a policy. You can't have open containers of alcohol. You can't be smoking a cigarette. You have to wear safety boots. You have to wear a certain type of clothing. You have to wear the blue shirt with the name tag that we gave you. And you have to have several vaccines. That's right. That's the other thing, Rob. You know, if you're saying it's forced, well, what if we said you have to have the measles vaccine to work here? The smallpox vaccine. Is that, are we forcing you? No, I don't want fucking measles on the 8th floor of my New York office for my company. Tough fucking titties. I just can't believe that we have to do this. You are required to do all kinds of things to have a job. And you know what, too? It's an insult. It's an insult, my friend, with all due respect. And I'm getting mad not at you, Rob, individually. I'm getting mad at the whole idea. But it's an insult to people in Indonesia and Cuba and Colombia and Guyana, where I'm from, when it was a fucking shithole with President Burnham, Prime Minister Burnham. It's an insult to people in Paraguay and Eastern Germany and China right now. It's an insult to people who are actually forced to do things. It's an insult to people in Lesotho and Uganda and Eritrea and all these countries that are much better now, but that were pieces of shit 50 years ago. It's a fucking insult to people in Iran right now and to people in Saudi Arabia, to women. It's an insult to women in Afghanistan right now who are forced to do things. It's an insult. You're not forced to have a vaccine. You can change your mind and not take that airline. Not go to the David Byrne Broadway show. You just don't get to go. No one's forcing you. So please. And yeah, I'm fucking angry because women in Afghanistan are forced to do things. What? People in Nazi Germany were actually forced to do things. And by real force, like this, with and you're tied to something and they put a fucking needle in you. That's forcing. Your boss sending you a letter and 3 times giving you 3 months and then calling you into the office and saying, so, Robert, what are we going to do with this? Because we've required this. We're going to pay for your vaccine. We're actually offering 2 days time off to go get the shot. And Friday's the deadline, Robert. Have you made a decision? Because here at blah 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 Incorporated, we've had to add to our safety and health protocols. And Robert, just as you've had to have the mumps, the measles, and the rubella shots, remember that 8 years ago? You maniac, when we hired you, and you had to get MMR, and it was okay. I don't know if you've heard, but there's this thing that's killed well over 4 million people, and we've decided here at blah blah Incorporated that, well, it's a shit show. And just like you can't smoke, and you can't wear flip-flops, and you got to have your measles shot, and you got to have a tetanus shot because you're working with stuff in the metal shop where you can get nicked by something that might have tetanus. So, Robert, you have all these other rules. And by Friday, we need you to just... I can't believe as your boss I need to say this, but it's just like all the other ones, Robert. And it's okay that you had problems, questions a year ago, Robert, about the vaccine, and it's okay to have those questions, my friend. But a couple billion people have gotten this shot, or whatever the number is. Someone correct me. 1 billion? I don't know, but it's over 1 billion at this point. They've got this shot, and no one's growing a unicorn horn, and we need you to do this by Friday because you're a valued employee, Robert, and we'd like you to be here. And just like you had the measles and the smallpox shot and the other shots, it's just one more. And but it's your choice, actually, Robert. If you choose to not get this shot by Friday, it's all good. We have our package for you that I discussed. We sent you that last week. It will be a forced retirement, so you don't get the thing that comes, 25 years of service. But you're going to get everything else. As we agreed, your pay will go to the end of next month, and it'll be a shame to see you go. We've had a good time, 20 years here. But you need to Stop pretending that this is anything different than the other 20 things that we require here at Blah Blah Incorporated. I don't know. So anyway, how many people have been vaccinated on planet Earth? 2.57 billion. And again, I take that number as you would. I don't know, but you know, I've been tracking it. And I said a billion, but I thought it was higher, and because I haven't looked in a while, I don't really care. I got my shot, and it's a shit show. What am I going to do? Just try to get through life. But 6.13 billion doses have been given worldwide, and this is in our World in Data. I'm seeing it now on a couple sites here. I'm seeing it on Worldometers. I'm seeing it on New York Times. But it's all Fauci and he and CNN, and don't you know there's a guy that works? But for those of you who are okay with 10 sources of information from the whole globe saying that yeah, it's 2.57 billion people that are vaccinated, which I didn't know it was this high actually. 33% of eligible people on planet Earth, 33% are vaccinated. So that's good. It's something like a third of what we need, but or even less. It's no. What am I saying? It's probably more like. I mean, we really need like at least. Yeah, no. You know, if we tripled that, then we're talking. Then it would be 99%. But we don't even have to triple it. Just under tripling it. Everything I've read, and I read a lot, is if we could get this to 90, between 90 and 95, hopefully over that, just to be sure. So at 33%, we're way, way short. But anyway, it's not forcing. You're not being forced. Go read some history. Read about feudal Europe. Read about the Toltecs and the Aztecs and the Mayans. Read about real forcing. Read about slavery, okay? That's forcing. Black people, just to take American slavery, we were forced to do shit. They raped us, they killed us, they tortured us, they cut our feet off. That's forcing, okay? Giving you a choice to take it or leave it, this ticket to see David Byrne. I don't know why I keep going to David Byrne. Maybe I saw him on TV yesterday. It's your choice. All right, I'm going to move on from that. I'm going to wrap up. But as I said at the beginning, those of you tuning in, why is he talking about this stuff? I said at the beginning that I'll end with some vaccine stuff. So, okay, so, okay, COVID concerns. I got to look that up, Jack. Jack, can you direct message me that story on the Australian dogs? I'll try to remember to Google it myself. I'm happy to do that, but I'm racing through here. Please send it to me, and I'll honestly discuss it next time. Rob says, not activated here, but I'm not sure how I feel about the employment mandates. Okay, it's okay to not be sure. Hopefully my rant gave you some things to think about, my friend. With all due respect, I'm serious. I really hope it did, because I hope I pointed out that there's dozens of things you have to do to have certain jobs. But be very careful about the word have to, because no one forces you to wear safety boots or a hard hat in a dangerous job. You don't have to do it. You'll just be gone in the morning. No one forced anything. You made the choice. We have requirements and you didn't fulfill them. Anyway, repeating myself there. But hopefully, I'd love your answer to that. Seriously. Jack says, standing in solidarity with all anti-lockdown protesters against government orders. Well, I don't understand that, bro. At some point, this thing is all psychology, At some point, this is our little question authority. I think I still have mine somewhere. The little question authority button. I had one too when I was 17, and I still question authority. But at a certain point, a lot of this is just like, fuck the man, dude. And I say that too. Fuck our government, and right? I'm anti-fascist. I'm anti dictatorship and controlling people. But I think there's a slippery thing here where people just are applying that to everything now. Okay, be my guest. 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 And I'm entirely sober, folks. So it, it's just therapy for me. So Australia is fucked up and descending into the totalitarian state. Come on, man. Is that ridiculous or is it hyperbole? Which one is it? Maybe you're trolling and kidding around. Australia is fucked up and descending into totalitarian state. Wow. On a planet where there's a Colombia and a Hungary and a, Saudi Arabia and a newly Talibanized Afghanistan and an Iran and a Pakistan, in a world where there's a Venezuela and a handful of others whose names I can't remember right now. On a planet where there's all that, you're going to pick Australia and say they're descending into totalitarian state. Jesus Christ, dude. What a loss of respect that is. Totalitarian state. Yeah. Because there's a fucking public health emergency. And by the way, go look at Australia's numbers. They're awesome. They're awesome. Single digits in most places, double digits, and they flip the fuck out and they stop the flights and all that. Triple digits, but what? We're like in the 4 digits per day, I think we're under 1,000 deaths per day right now, but it's not often in the USA. It's usually 4 figures of deaths. But so they're controlling those numbers, so they're totalitarian. Because a handful of people, believe me, it's a handful, are Robin Renee, thank you for reminding me. RNA is a single strand, helix DNA is double. Thank you. Jack says you got the shot. You're not anti-vax. Okay, but you're against. Are you in Australia, bro? Let's really go to battle on this. What's your data source on Australia? Because there's many good ones. I'm not saying mine's better than yours, but I want to know where you're getting that from, because I have human beings that I talk to in Australia on an almost daily basis, and their experience is different than yours, and you may know someone in Australia, but just like in the USA, they're going to say something opposite, and that's fine. That's the beauty of democracy. But the other beauty of democracy is that it's a meritocracy. It's results oriented, and Australia has the results. Sorry, New Zealand has the results. Sorry, South Korea, Hong Kong, Singapore has the results. Sorry. Sure, it's a little crazy watching some of what we would call draconian measures. We have family in Singapore. I know about Singapore. We get news from Singapore every single day. Every single day. This is what drives my passion for this. And our relatives in Singapore tell us that their phone goes bing, and they go, okay, over at the Sing Tao noodle place, and it says, hello, person whose phone it is. According to your contact tracing app, you were at the Sing Tao noodle shop on what day was I there? Oh, wow. Yeah, I was there on Wednesday the 22nd between 5 and 8. Yeah. This app is just letting you know that it turns out that 3 people who were there from 4 to 7 have tested positive. And we're just letting you know that you were possibly exposed. So we'll need you to stay home for 3 days, take your temperature, and please report into the app what your temperature is at 6 p.m., 7 a.m., and whatever. And please, if you have any questions or you need medical assistance, please let us know. Yeah, that's crazy, isn't it? How nutty that is and totalitarian. Well, they have fucking low numbers as a result. I'm way back here, so I got to speed up. Robin, microbiology lab, biochem. Yes, I did remember biochem, so I got that right. Sends a message to Biden, triple cheeseburger. Okay, I'm going to just hurry through these. Lori says, yes, the vaccine elicits an immune response, immune cascade. So next time your body says, okay, yeah, so exactly as I was saying. Nobody cares about Australia. Well, Jack, I'm catching up now. Hopefully you're still here. It's just a big island. In fact, it's a continent, and I've been there twice. Um, okay, Robin says, yes, it sends instructions, but not changing. Okay, again, just I'm very proud that when I read 10 articles and calmly understand the results, it's exactly what I think. And here's a biochemist supporting me on this. Robin, can you come on the show like next time? Because I want to do a show with scientists. And I have another friend who's a medical researcher, and I'm asking him to do that too. They're a million miles off. It's not entering the DNA at all. It's not altering. Okay, well, Lori, that's the one area I'll debate. They're not a million miles off, though, right? I mean, no, it's not altering your DNA, but it's telling your DNA, hey, make this spike protein, correct? I mean, it's sending instructions into your immune system, which is a confluence of all kinds of, uh, you know, uh, um, enzyme factories and T cell factories and DNA. So it's all in that ball of wax. Can we just be compassionate to these people, though, and say, you didn't take a lot of science, so it's okay that you're confused, but it's not altering your DNA. But it's okay that you're asking because, yes, it makes a phone call into your cells and says, hey, buddy, make some spike protein. I mean, can we just be compassionate to them? That does sound pretty sci-fi. And this is my problem with my fellow vaccinated people. We've got to admit, it sounds pretty wild that a thing goes in your arm and tells your cells to make another thing. And again, stop it. I'm okay with that. You're okay with that. But can you just for a minute empathize with the anti-vaxxers? Can you just for a minute and say, yeah, that's pretty new sounding. Yeah. Let me give you some more info so you're comfortable with it. But I respect you as a human being. That sounds a little wild. That's all. Okay. Thank you. Yeah, Robin is also confirming what I said. It's not as new as people think. You heard me go on and on about they've used it for decades and they've studied mRNA in many ways. mRNA. Kevin says vaccine is very specific and what changes exactly, and I've said that. Jack says concerned about totalitarian state. I respect you, bro, but you're absurd to call Australia totalitarian. Really, please, man. I'm saying this with respect, bro, and I invite you to come on and we'll talk face to face on camera. But please, man, as I listed before, with a Saudi Arabia, a Venezuela, a Cuba, it's a lot better now. But come on, man, with real, I sound like Biden. Come on, man, Biden, with real totalitarian states. North Korea, I forgot that one. That's a fucking apex totalitarian state. No, Australia is right because they got their numbers down. I'm racing through here. I saw some of these. You're fine with getting angry, except about cancer resolution because of history. Yeah. Yes. Thank you, Kevin. I had beans and forget where we talked about that. Oh, good. I did hit some of these before. 63.9% of Israel per this website. Wow. Yeah, Lori. I thought it was 80 or something. I'm really surprised. Okay, right. See, this is the other thing. I have many critiques of the press, and that's one of them, my friend. They always quote numbers that's different number in terms of what data set it is. So in other words, they often say the eligible percent, and they don't make that clear. And then people hear half the news, and they get confused. Yeah, the Robin Renee. This information is a huge problem. Yes, thank you, my friend. Thank you. I knew you'd understand that. Lack of empathy. Band together with something that helps. Yeah, yeah. Banding together is a little tough. Do we really want to band together with Marjorie Taylor Greene? I mean, that's the other thing. There is a real discussion that the Boberts and the Breitbarts and the, all these, we could list it all day. They don't want to band together with us. They don't want to. I'm okay just having détente with them. Just having, you keep your distance, I'll keep mine. Thank you, Preeper Nelly. Great phrase. Conditions of employment. Let's start a band with that name, bro. Yeah, conditions of employment. I'm just going by what I experienced in the midst of hospital saturation, meeting projected expectations. Kevin, I have to respectfully disagree. The projected expectations are exactly what they said. They said this substance that we're putting in your arm, the projected expectation is that it will give you a 90 some percent protection against catching the virus. And again, I'll say it right there's when they lose everyone, because the second thing they said is now, if you are one of the unfortunate small percentage, single digit percent who catches it, we are promising you, because we've researched this now for 6 months or 6 or 8 months by the time it was shot in the arm, with years of other research of mRNA behind those 8 months, right? They said if you're one of those people that get that single digit actual catching it, we're promising you 90 some percent surety that you won't be in the ICU, that you'll just get sniffles and a cold and a little cough and you're on your way. And you know what? I know at this point, oh my God, over a dozen people, vaccinated people who've caught this. And except for one person who got pretty sick for several days but is okay and alive. Other than that, every single person reports exactly that. Exactly. The first one was one of the guys on the Yes crew, and I work for Yes, well, different shirt. He just got sniffles and a little bit of cough. He said he felt a little tiny fluish for you know, a day or an overnight or something. That's funny. You don't look fluish, and that was it. So it is meeting projected expectations. With all due respect, that's completely wrong. Rob says comparing wearing shoes at work with injecting. Yes, I am. And if you're honest about my metaphor, I didn't say they were exactly the same. I said they're under the umbrella of figuring out a safety item, which would be steel tip shoes. Okay, so yes, I'm saying that if we call them both prophylactic bits of technology, a vaccine, steel tip boots. Yes. Yes, I'm saying those are both protective technologies that humans have invented. Yes, you want to argue with me on that? Come on my show next week. Let's do it. Because yes, seen from that perspective, see, you're going to leave this part out, but seen from that perspective, and I'll say it again, human technology comes up with ways to protect us against a known danger. If you're working in a certain type of a plant, for decades they said, oh man, a lot of people get their fucking toes broken because they're working with these heavy machinery or these metal containers that roll around, and people's feet get stuck and they cut their toes off. Let's come up with something. We came up with something, steel-toed shoes. So it's a protective device for a known negative result that humans experience. Vaccine, seen from that perspective, the part that you're going to leave out, is also a protective technology that will give some percentage of protection in the 90 percentile, just like the steel tip boot. Because the steel tip boot's not 100% protective. So yes, I'm comparing it, and I will endlessly. And I'd love you to come on camera with me, and let's debate that point. Because this is really where this is the razor edge of what the problem we're having. That people are calling this forcing when it's not. Anyway, Pete Camilleri, here we go. Someone from Australia. And Pete Camilleri is one of the good friends that I just listed. I said I know people in Australia. Thanks for proving me correct. Good to hear from you, mate. And I'm so glad you're with us and healthy and safe. So, Melbourne, beautiful Melbourne. You're at 45% fully vaxxed. The government wants to let it rip, just like the UK. The naysayers are dancing the street, right? Last week was difficult, and the angst on the street was heavy. So, yeah, well, I know ScoMo he's a problem, right? But you're saying the government wants to let it rip. Yeah. A lot of governments have tried that. Brazil tried it and failed. Sweden tried it and failed. The UK tried it and failed. So why would ScoMo try it? Well, he's ScoMo, right? I've read about him a lot. And this is not the measles. where kids would have measles parties and stuff. And but anyway, Pete Bernelli says, "Get paid." Pete Bernelli, thank you, sir. I miss you, bro. Let's get on the phone. Pete's reminding me that Supreme Court SCOTUS case law has said it's constitutional. End of story. And that's a great point, because these same MAGA people, and it's not all MAGA. I know lots of hippies and vegetarians and yoga people who are against this. But for the MAGA people, it's funny because they rejoice when the Supreme Court says, you know, we're removing rights for a woman's reproductive choice, or we're getting rid of some tax credit or something that helps people with 3 jobs, or we're damaging voting rights for predominantly black people and Latinx people. Rob says it may fall in the definition. You're not sure. I go, you don't have to agree. You could be wrong, but you don't have to agree. And you're wrong. I'm sorry, bro. With all due respect, sometimes people are wrong. Sign a contract. Nobody agreed to this. Yes, they did, because any agreement, as far as I'm seeing, again, show me a contract that's different. But any agreement in a big enough, I'm with you on some small, Joey's Deli. But the mandate from Biden is for companies over 100 people, isn't it? And if we're going to be rational, which I know is in short supply in the USA, a company that's got 100 plus employees, usually at that point is doing contracts, is doing some sort of HR booklet, is doing some sort of protocols and rules. And you show me some exceptions, because I've worked at a lot of companies, and any company at that level is going to have something in there about when you're sick and infection and health and safety, and depending on the company, if it's food or if it's something related to medical situations, there'll be a whole lot about infectivity and protecting, if you're a forward-facing employee, protecting others from getting sick and all that. So Rob says, what if you're made to take a vaccine? Well, first off, no one's making me do anything. You got to stop this language. That's incorrect. Jesus Christ, bro. Come on my show. Let's do this on camera. At a certain point. But anyway, I'll answer your question directly. I have taken vaccine that has egg in it. And I remember decades ago, one, they couldn't tell me for sure, might have had gelatin in it. And I took it. I took it because not getting the measles is more important than my views. This isn't hard. And the other thing is, Robin, Renee, help me out with what we're talking about in terms of cc's here. In a vaccine, which is, I forget how many cc's of liquid that is, it's mostly saline or some other solution. It's 90-some% stuff to get it into your body. So you've got this tiny amount of the vaccine, within which there's a tiny amount of the egg yolk or the bovine gelatin or whatever the fuck. Yes, Rob, I'll take it. I take oscillococcinum every few years, really rarely, because I don't get the flu. I got my first flu shot, actually, for the first time in my life. I think it was the first time in my life. And it didn't have animal products in it, by the way, because they've responded to that over the years. Not just because of vegetarians, but because of Muslim people, Jewish people, some Christian people that don't want animal product at certain times of the year, times of the week, whatever. So people with allergies, shellfish allergies, different things. So for a host of reasons, if you study vaccines and read about vaccines, as I've done a lot for the last 13, 14 months, you find that, wow, the vaccine compounding industry has actually said, oh, you know what? We could do this in another substrate. It doesn't have to be bovine gelatin or egg yolk or this stuff from a sea animal or something. They found other ways, because that's the beauty of science. All you need is something with certain chemical properties that has certain colloidal number associated with it, that has a certain preservative value. You're just looking for a substrate to get the actual medication into your body. So they've changed it, and I'm happy as a vegetarian to know that the pressure of PETA and Jewish people and Muslim people and allergic people have made it so that vaccines hardly have these things in them. But to answer your question, yes, I would. If the shit was hitting the fan like it is now. See, again, that's the part everyone wants to leave out. If you're in a burning fucking airplane crashing into the Andes and all they have is the experimental parachutes, what, you're not going to put one on? No one's forcing me to wear a parachute. But see, you're not thinking about this as a burning fucking airplane into the Andes. And okay, then that's fine. Pete says he was threatened for no reason. Good to me. Good to see you again, Pete. You know. Okay, Lori says, wait, Rob, you called on your information comparison of vaccines, and now you're asking about the meat vaccine. Yeah, it's a ridiculous thing. Thank you, Lori. But I'm happy to have this discussion, Rob. And again, I invite you every time. Let's do this on camera. Let's hear you defend your views on this, where neither of us can have a delayed time or. Anyway. However, the flu vaccine uses eggs, yeah, in the manufacturing process. Some do actually, some don't. And you get your flu vaccine. I'm more WFPB than vegan. What is the? I know I've seen that before. Um, WFPB. What does that mean? Whole food, plant based. Okay, great. That's awesome. Okay, and uh, uh, um, and yeah, Lori, to your point, I'm fine if there's a little egg in a vaccine. It's yeah. Pete says a lot of people complaining from never been forced. I know, bro. I know. Thank you, Bassam. To have some of you folks who I've known for so long, and some of you who are new friends, to just understand where I'm coming from means a lot because it means I'm not fucking crazy or you're crazy with me. Kevin says, I love when you get agitated. Thank you, bro. Not enough people getting agitated. Thank you, because I second guess myself. A woman who screwed a guy in particular was worried she got spike protein. Bassam, when do we get you a fucking TV show, bro? Totally disagree and do the betterment of all of us. Yeah, I see what you mean, Robin. You're saying, rhetorically speaking, getting together with those people, banding together. I absolutely. But you see what I'm saying, because there is a little kumbaya thing that happens. I know you're not saying that, but to my point, I don't want to sit with Marjorie Taylor Greene. Did you see that video? She got into a yelling match with someone on the steps of Congress the other day. Wow, that woman, man, it's just amazing. But anyway, Sharon Rudolph, hey, how are you? Are you in the States? Are you in the UK? Let's see. All right, we're getting close to the end here, and then I'll be jumping off. You're still in rehab. Okay, keeping with stuff. Actually, okay, Kevin. Yeah, keeping with stuff is hard. I know, bro. I give you an extra long rope there because you're in a health fight, bro. You see, it's okay to be, not watching all the news. I actually don't watch much news at all. Do you know that, folks? I watch 2.5 hours of TV a week, and it's Sunday morning, and it's the show Sunday morning, which really isn't news, hard news. It's kind of fluff stuff about artists or some farmer or what movie Ben Stiller's working on or some musician, but a tiny bit of politics. And then we watch Face the Nation, which is like, what is that, 90 minutes or something of hard news, really good hard news. Margaret Brennan is spectacular, asks follow-up questions. But otherwise I get my news from reading, listening to NPR, talking to you folks, keeping up with stuff. So anyway, but it's okay, Kevin. You don't have to apologize, bro. I will only say that it was like January, though, when they made clear the efficacy percent of the vaccines. So it has been a while. But still, it's okay. It's just, I'm saying that more so generally people can really go check that. Thank you, Lori. Yes, a vaccine is 0.5 milliliter. Thank you. Literally 20 drops of liquid. Absolutely. And then please corroborate my other point as a medical expert, as a science-based person in a science-based career. Of that 0.5 milliliter, how much is going to be egg or gelatin or something? It happens. I'm a vegan, but I'm a fucking realist too. If once in 35 years I've got to do this, like I said, I take oscillococcinum every few years, and that's got a tiny, 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 tiny bit of duck spinal fluid or some shit, or I don't know what it is. It's something from a duck, and I cringe, and I didn't take it for years, but it fucking works. It works. It's awesome. If you take oscillococcinum within the first 4 days of the flu, bang, kills it dead. It's what everyone in France and Germany and Netherlands and Spain and Portugal, it tends to be that continental Europe, very popular in those countries that they're a little more into homeopathic and plant-based along with the pharmaceuticals. They see it as one thing. Many people. Anyway, Kevin's awaiting the release of the booster. Well, there is a booster, but it's only for 65 and up or immune compromised people. But that's where Walensky confused people, right? I love her, but she's just sometimes it's like, did you even read your own email from the CDC? You all saw that, right? There was a headline article this week, New York Times and elsewhere. CDC says it's only for XYZ, and then 65 and immunocomp, and then she says, but it should also be for front-facing health workers and people in dangerous situations. And the CDC was like, "Oi, we didn't say that. Couldn't we talk before you fucking get in front of a camera?" Really? Did you guys see that story? It was, and they had to go out and say, "Well, we kind of mean both," and it's still in contention. But anyway, that's what's up with the booster. That was okay. That was. Bassam says there's about the woman who's a Trumpensy. No satire there. Yeah, I know, right? Sharon, okay, you're in the UK. You'll be back this Thursday. Okay, well, great. Drop a line. Evidently, Biden got the booster, and that's fine. He's over 65, number one, and he's the president. So even if it was for only, the over 80s, I would say, yeah, keep him alive. As much as he's got his flaws, it's 1,000 times better now. Hunter's another problem, right? Let's talk about Hunter one day. What a fucking guy. The little extra bits are infinitesimal. Thank you. A sciencey term. Thank you, Lori. So again, thank you, Lori. Thank you, Robin Renee. Thank you, the other Robin who keeps me sane. The number one Robin. But thank you, my trained professional friends. I'm sincere. You know I am. I'm always sincere. But I love having you here, and I deeply appreciate having trained professionals who get up in the morning and go and do jobs that involve biochemistry and biology and hard science and mathematics. I appreciate you coming on and helping me. And really, I feel like you've given me, if I do say so, a decent grade, because there's nothing you've said where it's like, well, Andre, you're completely weird and crazy and made that up. No, Andre, it's not like that at all. Here's what I appreciate, that you are clear and concise, and you're saying, yep, that you've read correctly, my friend. Yes, that's how, thank you. Because some of the other people need that. Because I want to encourage them to fucking go to good sources. Go to MIT, go to Science Magazine, go to, if it's press, go to the Independent, the Guardian, the New York Times. They will print science, okay? Go to Yale Medical. Go to Johns Hopkins websites. Go to University of Minnesota, where Osterholm was from, who's now on the Biden team. He's a epidemiologist, a immune expert. He's a virologist expert. Go see what people have to say that are scientists around the world. That's what I'm doing. And thank you, my friends Pete Brunelli, my friends with degrees in science. Thank you for pointing out The beauty of the living thing that is science. That's the other thing people don't understand. They don't realize that, yes, it's changing. Yes, we're going to know some more shit in 10 days. And we might have to come back and tell you, yeah, that number we gave you that was 0.047, milligrams per liter, it turns out it's 0.352 because we have more data now, and we didn't realize that the results were temperature based because it's a new thing we're studying and we're learning as we go. Thank you so much, folks. I'm out of here. I always like to make sure I get every question, and you guys can trick me by keep putting questions because then I'll be stuck here. But I love it, and let's. Oh boy, I got a lot of people on YouTube. Let me really quickly look. Celine's okay, yeah. Pretend to have a Turkish accent. Yeah, that's great. Thank you, Frank. That's a great example. Not getting vaccines is not only like showing up with Jack, but also spiking other people's drinks. Kudos. That's brilliant. You're exactly correct. Because in my example wasn't good enough. If you show up drinking Jack at 10 in the morning and lose your job, you're not being forced to do anything. But Frank, you're right. It's even worse. It's like showing up and two booths away, two cubicles away, someone's like, "Why am I drunk? What? Oh man, there's whiskey in my fucking coffee. What happened?" Joey has been walking around spiking everyone. Brilliant, Frank. I will use that. Thank you, bro. Thank you, Cheryl. Thank you, Eric Svalgard. We'll talk tomorrow. So that's YouTube, people. Yeah, an 8-year-old gets it. Yes, thank you, Rich, Kevin Ritchie. Awesome. All right, folks. Gotta go. I have a meeting at 6 o'clock, and I love you all. And we talked mostly about plant-based, which is also always my goal. But this is all bound up in it, right? Because we got here most likely because of how we treat animals. Whether it was the lab or the wet market, they were commingled, right? And we know that wet markets have unleashed viral activity dozens of times over decades. Okay, and we've been lucky; they haven't been this big. They've been salmonella and different strains of E. coli, and geez, I'm forgetting some of the other ones. There's so many pathogens, and I'm tired. But this has to do with our cruelty towards animals, our insanity in how we keep them and raise them and feed them and crush them together in horrible conditions. That's what happens in wet markets, okay? There's snakes and goats and chickens and fish over here and eels and bats and pangolins and parts of bears and eggs and all kinds of different sea creatures all stacked up and all in fucked up unsanitary situations, and over and over and over these fucking nightmare places release diseases into parts of Asia where they have these, predominantly China, where they're huge, they're massive. We would call them a small town in some places in America. And so this has everything to do with animals. I want to leave you with that. It has everything to do with animals. It has everything to do with the insane part of human culture of enslaving, torturing, killing animals, just like it was insane, as Peter Singer brilliantly says in Animal Liberation, just as insane as catching, trapping, torturing, murdering, and enslaving human beings. And I'm so happy that every fucking day there's less and less of the former and the latter. We've pretty much eliminated slavery, but so happy that every day I wake up and there's more evidence that human beings are realizing this is wrong. Have a good one, folks. Good to see you, Anne, Sharon, Lori, everybody.